The civil suit is devastating. I mean, these are allegations, and we have to emphasize it's just allegations. This case has not yet been tried to a judge and jury, but these are allegations of a staggering fraud that spread over many years of putting out false financial statements that resulted in allegedly misleading banks and lenders. It's very serious conduct. I think in its own way, it may be as or more serious than some of the pending criminal cases because this erodes Donald Trump's financial base, his reputation, his kids are involved. This is a devastating blow.
A devastating blow. That's Norm Eisen over on CNN, and he's talking about these allegations after you saw Letitia James put forward the suit against him and the Trump organization for all the things that we've known he's been up to. I pointed this out yesterday on Damage Report. Hey, this are things we already knew about. These are things that we were talking about when people wanted to see his tax returns. These are things people were talking about when he was bragging about the way he games the system. Anyway, now this is some details of that lawsuit that has people wondering, they're coming from another way? Yes, the same way. Here's those details. New York Attorney General Letitia James filed this lawsuit on Wednesday and accused the former President Trump, 3 of his grown children, and executives at his company of flagrantly manipulating property valuations to deceive lenders, insurance brokers, and tax authorities into giving them better bank loan and insurance policy rates and to reduce their tax liability. Again, another reason why people want to see this guy's tax returns and reasons why he didn't want to give them, and he still hasn't. So former prosecutor Shannon Wu, she also weighed in on the possible criminal charges that could be made from this civil suit. It gets worse.
And so the evidence that she has amassed for this suit, which was very hard fought to get it after a lot of litigation, would provide the basis for those criminal actions. Tax fraud, obviously, there's tax fraud going on here given the massive inflation of these values. And same thing for the Southern District. So she's giving them a very valuable head start on all this evidence that they've taken so long to gather. And that's what really strikes me about this complaint is how well documented it is. I mean, there are facts here that you can't spin your way out of. I mean, claiming that the penthouse, for example, is 3 times the square footage that it is, there's no way you can spin your way out of that.
There's no way to spin your way out of that. Farron, before we get into some of the pushback or maybe support from, I think, a bit of an odd source, first, your thoughts on this, and is it as bad as what they're saying? It could be linked and connected to these other things and also assist in all of his legal issues.
Yeah, I mean, legally speaking, all of it's bad. And I do think the criminal referrals, to kind of go against Norm Eisen just a little bit, I think the criminal referrals are obviously much worse than this civil suit. However, it is important to understand too, as Mr. Wu was there saying, it took forever for her to get this information. She had to fight, for years to get this stuff. Had there not been so many roadblocks, this lawsuit would have been filed a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe. But she had to fight, and she never quit. That to me, just shows amazing resolve. And they made sure, right? They went through, had everything listed out, all of the details to make sure that nobody is gonna be able to, really in reality accuse us of doing a political hit job here. She had all the facts. The press conference was great. And of course, trying to, bar the company if she is successful from doing business, from buying real estate in New York. I mean, this is a massive blow to Donald Trump. Not to mention, they're talking about his reputation. How is any bank gonna look at this industry or this company now and say, yeah, I'll give you money? So it is a huge blow, and it could be the death blow to the Trump organization in the future, showing this massive fraud through the civil suit.
Now, people are saying that, Farron, but what does that actually mean for, and this is like actually a curiosity question for me because I didn't follow closely with the Trump Oregon. I know his kids are involved, which we'll get to in a second because that's a big part about this. But then also, why that's such a big blow? Like he can no longer do what? I mean, yeah, real estate in New York, but as he would probably describe, he's got real estate everywhere. He's got real estate everywhere, the tallest buildings in every city. So it puts a big hamper on business relations and business opportunities there, but these were scammy businesses in the first place, which would be the reason why. How much of this is really fueling him? I feel like his political career is kind of been the moneymaker lately.
Yeah, it has. But there's always money in the banana stand, really, is the best way to look at it. Is that Trump organization is his piggy bank, and it's the kids' piggy bank, and it's their future piggy bank. So if you take that away, even taking it out of New York, either by dissolving the company, which would then force them to rebuild from the ground up in another location, or what they could do is simply say, okay, we're going to file the paperwork and move it out of New York City because we're not allowed to do business here. And maybe we're going over to New Jersey, right? We're just going to hop across the river and be fine. Who knows? It's going to depend on what kind of order the company gets, because since it is currently in New York and was in New York when these lawsuits were filed and when the criminal referrals were made, they may not legally be able to move it, which could force the company to officially dissolve as we know it. It would no longer exist, and they would have to form a new company somewhere else, which isn't that difficult. But putting that thing officially in the grave is going to ruin that reputation, and the reputation is already ruined. Let's be very clear about that. We all know that. I mean, they've been unceremoniously ripping his name off buildings of properties he owns, so he's not in good shape already. Killing the Trump organization officially is probably going to seal the deal there.
Which is sadly probably the thing he cares about the most outside of these potential criminal investigations and things that he's going through and allegations. One really quick thing, because I guess he's a somewhat new opponent of Trump. Every once in a while, at least Bill Barr at least was bringing up the children, the Trump kids, and had an odd take on that. Let's watch that.
It's hard for me not to conclude it's a political hit job. And this is a woman who campaigned for office saying that, promising she was going to go after Trump, which I think is a tremendous abuse of office, to go headhunting and targeting individuals. So I think she was targeting Trump. And this is, after 3 years, a civil lawsuit, the gist of which is that when the Trump organization borrowed money, Trump personally guaranteed those loans. And to support that, she's claiming that he inflated his assets on his financial statements. Now, I'm not even sure she has a good case against Trump himself, but what ultimately persuades me that this is a political hit job is she grossly overreaches when she tries to drag the children into this. Yes, they had roles in the business, but this was his personal financial statement. It was prepared by the CFO. Accounting firms were involved in it. The children aren't going to know the details of that and be able, and nor are they expected in the real world to do their own due diligence and have it, reviewed independently.
If you didn't know which Trump children he was talking about, you would think he was talking about 7, 8, and 10-year-old children who have no idea what's going on in the organization. Their names are just attached to it. Their last name just happens to be Trump, and they're going to be beneficiaries of all this once he leaves. They don't have any business interests. It's not like they were in the White House. It's not like his daughter had anything to do with his political aspirations or anything to do with his business dealings. It's not like they all had offshoot businesses that were connected to the Trump organization. It's not like they were frauding people themselves. It's like, who would think these 5-year-olds know what's really going on with the Trump organization, despite the fact that they've stood up for the Trump organization, they've spoken for it, that they've been intricate parts of it, that they were part of the dealings? Do we really think Donald Trump was doing all this by himself while he was also destroying America from the White House? Calm down with this nonsense.
Are we led to believe that maybe, they're going after Barron? Is he down there at Mar-a-Lago, the mastermind of all of this? No, what's happening here? And Bill Barr knows this. Bill Barr is actually trying to run cover for the fact that he covered for Trump for so long, trying to make it seem like, no, I wasn't working for a criminal for all these years. You clearly, most likely, allegedly were, because God forbid we don't say allegedly, because we don't want to get in trouble. But the Trump kids were making these decisions as well, and we also have Weisselberg, who's now cooperating. He knows the kids' involvement. Barr's running interference, and it's absolutely pathetic what he's saying out there.
Notice how many times he said the children, the children, the children, as if they're children. They're his kids. They're not children.